Hey everyone, on today's episode of Huber Hype, we're talking about John fucking Wick. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Yes, it is now Huber Hype, back to our roots. You may be wondering, where's the green screen? The green screen will make an appearance. One of my main reasons for going back to Huber Hype was there were so many episodes that I did that I wanted to revisit. Best economies, best survival horror games, just all these episodes. So when we revisit those in the year 2023 or 2024, depending, we may go back to our roots with that green screen, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, we're running down the John Wick franchise right now. What I love about each one, my goodness, Chapter 4 just may be one of the greatest action movies of all time. Let's go. First up, starting off where it all began, John Wick. Not chapter whatever, just straight up John Wick, the original. Every single one of these movies is good, by the way. All of them. Love John Wick. And what I love about it is we get to see John living his life, or trying to live a normal life, which obviously does not go very well. But I just love that we get to see that side of him, because in 3 follow-up movies, we don't really get much of that. We get maybe a glimpse of it in 2, but really nothing else compared to, you know, the first act of the original movie, which I love. I also love, because I'm always thinking with video games, especially survival horror, I also love in the first one how he has to pick up everybody's ammo. He's picking running out of bullets, holster the gun, pick up this one with this clip. They pay way more attention to detail in the first one than all of them. It gets less as they go on. It's still there. It's still there. But the attention to that detail in the first one, shout out. Also, I respect how grounded and focused it is, because my grandpa loves John Wick, but the follow-ups are just too much for him to handle. You know, they're epics. The first one is an action movie. Every other one is a freaking epic. Which brings us to John Wick Chapter 2. Was my favorite until very recently. And there's one person that sticks out in this movie, and that is Common. Cassian, no body, no death. He better come back. I am begging for Common to come back to this franchise. I love John Wick Chapter 2. That club scene, you got that shotgun hype. One of the best shotguns ever. It's out of control. But the rivalry with Cassian is one of my favorite parts of this entire franchise. Them just fighting in the streets, crashing into the Continental. It is so epic. John Wick Chapter 2. And a really good villain in that one too. One of the better main final boss villains of it. Having the marker, really expanding the universe, getting into the lore. John Wick Chapter 2 is so good. Next up is John Wick Chapter 3, which happens to be my least favorite of the 4. It is still incredible. Halle Berry with her dogs is badass. But John Wick Chapter 3 may be the worst one, but it has the best kill in the entire franchise. And you may think in your head now, obviously it's where he throws the freaking battle axe into the guy's head, just like sitting on the ground there. You don't know what I'm talking about. But it's before that. One of my favorite kills ever in a movie I've ever seen, and that is when John Wick is putting together the antique revolver for like what seems like 10 minutes, all for one bullet, one shot. He's putting this thing together, putting it together, listening to it, putting the bullet in. That guy comes through the door and he's just like, boom! Sickest kill ever. Easily, don't at me. Which brings us to John Wick Chapter 4. Where do we even begin? Where do we begin? There is just so much to praise in this movie. First up, let's start with the marquee. Bill Skarsgård, absolutely one of the best villains in this franchise, because I referenced John Wick 2, great villain, but the Marquis is just next level. I'm a Bill Skarsgård fan. I mean, obviously Pennywise, he just captures every scene so good. He just has this like powerful presence. I loved it. And then of course, you gotta have your rivals. John Wick's rivals, right? Kane. Donnie Yen. Donnie freaking Yen in this movie, stabbing people, shooting people. He's out of control. They have so many epic conversations with each other. I keep thinking about that scene in the church with Kane and John Wick, just about life and death, you know? Like, do you think she can hear you? Talking about, you know, John's talking, like, reconciling, dude, talking about his dead wife. He's like, do you think she can hear you? He's like, no. Then why bother? Maybe I'm wrong, John says. I love that scene so much. Just such a good bond. I am ready for all the spin-offs. Give me TV shows, give me movies, put Kane in other movies, anything, Donnie Yen, Kane, sign me up, I'm in 100%. And obviously it wouldn't be John Wick without some action. And this is definitively the best in the franchise. The main reason for me that it is the best is because it is the most natural, the most realistic. Obviously it's John Wick's out of control, right? Okay, there's a lot of this shit, right? Okay, there's a lot of this, okay? But so you go back, you watch the other John Wicks, right? One of the main criticisms is people with a gun don't shoot John. He's right there, just shoot him. Why do they run up so that John can disarm him? You know, there's a lot of that in the early John Wick movies. You go back and you watch the Raid Redemption or the Raid 2, and you can see the choreography. You can see it. John Wick Chapter 4, obviously some of that stuff is still there, but it has been reduced dramatically. All the fights and shootouts, they felt so natural, so real, so gritty and raw. It takes it to the next level. I don't understand how you can top this. Like, this is the culmination. Because in 3, I was like, okay, I think the formula has run its course. They did it all. They left it all out there. But this refined that, because 3 did feel staged at some parts. Obviously the dogs, right? You have the freaking dogs in 3. It looks like you're watching one of those like animal competitions, right? They're like jumping on the things. It's like, okay. But Mr. Nobody and his dog, it just takes it to another level. And I love that they carried so many things over. It's like, yeah, we gotta have our canine unit. We gotta have our dog unit here. Mr. Nobody. What is one of my favorite things ever? Some uneasy alliance with a bounty hunter that's just out for cash. This movie had it all. Some of these action scenes, I mean, we talked about Donnie Yen, we talked about Mr. Nobody, Scott freaking Adkins, the whole time they're sitting at the table, I'm like, I don't know about anyone else, but I know that Scott Adkins can freaking go if he needs to. Scott Adkins, king of B-budget action movies. Look him up, check him out. Get back to me, do some homework. 10 out of 10. Scott Adkins, you've got all this, the gambling element. Like, I can't wait for Dawn to see this shit, because it's like gambling, life and death. The best. I'm literally speechless. I can't handle how much I love this movie. I think of the best club scenes in movies of all time, right? I think of Blade. I think of John Wick Chapter 2. I think of Collateral. The club scene in this. The Tokyo scene with the nunchucks. The freaking Paris with the cars. The stairway. The freaking stairway fight. I cannot get it out of my head. John Wick Chapter 4. This is a plea. This is a plea to all of you out there. I've seen this thing twice in the theater. I'm going a third time. You need to see it once in the movie theater. Do not let me down. Do not let Keanu down. Don't do it, man. That's it for the show. That was some John Wick hype. I came out of that theater just screaming and buzzing both times. I cannot wait to go back and go again. Like, I'm gonna wait until it's almost out of the theater and strike. It is definitively one of my favorite movies ever now. And I honestly believe it is up there with the highest tier of action movies ever made. But we are Easy Allies. Huber Hype is back. It feels good. We're gonna be revisiting some old episodes at some point. Stay tuned for that. And just want to thank everyone for all their love and respect and support during Easy X. And until then, see you next time.